We're talking to the CEO of Immutep, ASX code IMM. We have with us Mark Voigt, who is the CEO of the company. Now, Mark, you've had a successful 2021, raising around $60 million back in June via institutional placement and then a retail component to that placement. Can you talk to your outlook for 2022 and maybe touch on some milestones you reached in 2021?
Tim, and thank you for having me. So 2021 actually has been a very good year for Immutep. So we have been making significant progress in terms of our clinical trials. Also on the financing side, you have just been mentioning the $60 million raise, which brought on key institutional investors from Australia, but also from the US or Hong Kong. So it was really a transformational raise and a transformational year for the company. And we need to continue to deliver also in 2022. If I look back to 21 in terms of the clinical trials, we saw data at ESCO, for instance. We saw data at SITC from our trials TACTI-002 and APEC, so in non-small cell lung cancer, in head and neck cancer, and also in metastatic breast cancer. And of course, we would like to see more data in 2022. So for instance, non-small cell lung cancer, an update would be expected already in the first half of next year, and data always talks. And please don't forget that we have first-line non-small cell lung cancer as well as second-line non-small cell lung cancer. Also, we would like to provide a final update practically on second-line head and neck cancer. And we look very much forward to the trial called TACTI-003 in first-line head and neck cancer. And a number of other data points. It's too much to go into detail here, but it should be a data-heavy year. We should have other feedback, for instance, in terms of regulatory engagement with the FDA, with other agencies. Also for IMP761 and autoimmune diseases, we are looking forward to progress and updates. So overall, we had a very good 2021. I'm not talking about the current share price, where we are absolutely not happy. Please allow me that comment. But from a fundamental perspective, a very good year. And this leads to a hopefully better year in 2022 in terms of all the aspects, including share price, next year.
Mark, now with reference to LAG-3, which is probably the drug that has some data to follow up and it's probably closest to this commercial journey, you also have a collaboration partner in regards to moving that drug forward. Can you give us an update on what you expect from LAG-3 for 2022?
Already in 21, we saw great progress, a validation. I think we are all aware of that. So LAG-3 is now a validated immune checkpoint, and you have three of those. PD-1, we all know PD-1 with Keytruda, Opdivo, multi-billion-dollar blockbuster drugs based on immune checkpoints, and have been leading to a paradigm shift, the way cancer patients are being treated today, the day-to-day clinical care. So cancer immunotherapy is there. And now also LAG-3 is there. So it's about to become commercial, and this is what we expect in 2022. Bristol Myers Squibb filed with their drug, it's not ours, it's theirs, filed with their drug for marketing authorization in Europe, and they have also their FDA meeting actually already in March 22. So this will set the scene already in first quarter next year for LAG-3 overall. We, of course, will contribute. Our licensees, Novartis, GSK and others, we hope will contribute to the field as well and will move forward. But it's a rare event. We saw 2011 checkpoint called CTLA-4 being validated, then 14, 15, PD-1, and now in 2022, 21, 22, LAG-3. So this is very important. And of course, for us, being the only LAG-3 pure play and having the person on board who discovered LAG-3, Frederic Triebel, our CSO and CMO, it's very exciting, a very exciting part of the journey.
Mark, your focus has been on licensing and creating partnerships for LAG-3. How does Immutep plan to commercialize the drug themselves?
That's a very good question, of course. And we have 4 different programs. to exclusively worldwide out license, so to Novartis and GSK. And of course, those companies, if the data is positive, will move forward and will register the drugs based on their own efforts. Then we have two programs we are moving forward, eftilagimod, of course, and IMP761. IMP761 is at preclinical stage, so it will obviously take a little bit longer, phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. For eftilagimod, we are significantly closer to commercialization. Actually, we have in first-line head and neck cancer a registration relevant clinical trial ongoing based on fast-track designation, which is important and could serve for accelerated approval if the data is good enough and rolling review by the FDA. So it's an interesting regulatory designation, which allows you, if the data is good enough, to actually file on that data and have the relevant discussions with the FDA. So one registration relevant setting ongoing. Second one, we would like to move forward in metastatic breast cancer in the next year to start a phase 3. Also, our preparations for commercial manufacturing are underway. So for a biotech company, we are already relatively close to commercialization, and we will do everything from a manufacturing, clinical, as well as regulatory point of view to move forward with eftilagimod alpha in a variety of different indications.
Mark, the biotech sector in the US has been under some pressure for some time now. There has been concerns in regards to drug pricing, particularly from the FDA, particularly in areas of unmet needs. How do you see Immutep currently being positioned in light of this environment?
First of all, there are two different points of view. One is the share price, the other one is a fundamental development. Let me start maybe with the fundamental development. There, I believe we are very well positioned. So we delivered a number of very interesting clinical trial results, very encouraging, moving into the right direction in terms of all other fundamental aspects. We are also in very good shape, actually also in the light of the pharmacoeconomical debate, drug pricing. If I look at eftilagimod, we give it at low dose, 30 milligram per patient, so it's not a margin killer. If you compare it to, for instance, Keytruda, multi-billion-dollar blockbuster drug, you give 200-300 milligram per shot intravenously typically, and we give 30 milligrams subcutaneously, so low amount of third-party costs, so a nurse does not need to attend the procedure for 60 minutes or 90 minutes. It's practically a 5 minutes procedure. And also the sheer amount of drug is relatively low, and it's a standard manufacturing process, partly, by the way, patent protected. So the drug pricing debate, which is a valid one, which healthcare system globally, not only in the US, but also in Australia, Europe, and practically all other regions, should pay for combination therapies or single drugs, which have $500,000 annual treatment cost. It's a valid social question, it's a healthcare and a reimbursement question, and to have drugs which address that, I believe, is very, very important. So for eftilagimod, I don't see this as a strategic threat, but as a potential advantage, actually. Now, the first part is, of course, for Immutep in terms of share prices and our current share price, very disappointing. Let me be honest and straightforward. I personally believe we are right now with our share price not where we should be, especially given the LAG-3 journey, given what we fundamentally delivered. We are part of the greater movement of share prices coming back. You rightly pointed to that in your question. So you saw pressure on the Nasdaq Biotech Index or on the XBI since a while, and many companies having problems are far away from 52 weeks high. Same with Immutep. We had a relatively good performance actually in the past few months. We have now been hit a little bit harder, if you allow me to make that statement. But I also believe we have all ingredients in hand to deliver, because we are coming from a strong financial position. We have no intentions to raise any cash in the short term, just to be very clear there. We have ongoing clinical trials. We have been recruiting partly better than anticipated, despite COVID. So we will have data next year, and data is always very important. We have other aspects like manufacturing, regulatory engagement, multiple different partnerships where we can deliver. So overall, I believe we will have a good year 2022. And if we deliver on a fundamental way, I'm sure that also the share price will take care of that and will reflect that. Also, the macroeconomical environment is hopefully in favor of biotech. And for LAG-3, I believe we have a chance to say that specifically, because next year LAG-3 can become commercial. And this, of course, as we are the only LAG-3 pure play, should positively reflect on us. So right now, fundamentally, I believe we are in good shape. Share price, we are not happy, but we will work hard to provide the markets with the right information so that the share price has also the chance to appreciate that and to reflect it.
Mark, thanks for your time.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure.